So, this is my friend's story, not my own, and all this information was told to me by him. At his school there is a large issue with not only drugs, but physical and sexual abuse along with horrible teachers. I have some light-hearted stories from my friend to share, if you lads want it. However, this is not one of them. There is this guy, let's call him Chad. Oh Chad. In 9th grade he had gotten addicted to cocaine. This led him into a lot of debt with his dealer, because he's a teenager without money. This is obviously not a good situation to be in. 3K Chad in debt with a drug dealer. Either he paid his debt, or he would die. So, he took it upon himself to get into more crap, by paying off his debt, by stealing other students' items, phones, MacUp, apparently house keys, wallets, etc., and selling them on eBay, Kijiji, etc., and upon getting caught would say, well then how about you fine do something about it, while teachers just sent him to the office, called his parents, and went on with their day. The students, including my friend, being immature self-righteous dip crap spoons, decided to fine do something about it. So, they all congregated and developed a plan. Let's call this group the victims apostrophe. They thought they should not only beat the kid when he was caught, but start letting more dangerous people know about him. So, they started letting out small bits of information like Chad hitting his girlfriend, true. Or, Chad reselling what he bought for a higher price to his friends. Not sure if that's true, or what really got Chad into trouble. Spitting on homeless people. True and disgusting. So, the group of 20 or so people Chad stole from started following him around, catching bits of things to record and show around. Eventually, this got to the gang that likes to hang around the south side of my town. Let's call this gang Bad Cops. The Bad Cops already didn't like Chad to begin with, and from what you could get from the name are violent police that aren't really the police. Basically they just kick the crap out of people that do bad crap. Like Chad. April. In the middle of April Chad was found kicked to crap, unconscious on the streets. He was rushed to the hospital, questioned by the police. Later, the victims were questioned. They provided evidence of what they accused him of. And later, the bad cops were questioned. While I'm not quite sure of the specifics, Chad was tried for assault, possession of drugs and narcotics, disturbing the peace, and sent to juvenile detention along with massive fines for his parents. The known members of the bad cops were sent to jail and juvie for assault and attempted murder, as there were stab wounds in Chad, and the victims were fined for things ranging from filming without permission to conspiracy to commit a crime. My friend was fined for filming Chad without his consent. This was a sad story, and from what I hear Chad is not doing so well, and his family is having a hard time paying off these fines as Chad is only 15 and can't pay for anything. I'm not sure about how Chad's dealer is going to deal with the rest of the debt, if he will at all. And all I can really say is I feel bad for Chad's family, not Chad though F him, as they have been described as quite nice. But, from what my nan always says, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So, I'm not sure. Thanks for reading. I tried posting this in Pro Revenge, but was removed for involving felonies, and removed from Nuclear, because it was school bully. So Lita hope this doesn't get taken down. This story may or may not have happened the way I tell it, as I wasn't involved in it, but I got the story from several people who were involved. I had to guess some gaps in the timeline, so it may seem a bit unreal. I couldn't believe it myself at first, but few good friends told me they were involved, so I guess readers should decide for themselves. I went to college in the late 1990s, and this story was some urban legend in campus. I thought so myself, until I met a few frat girls older than me who swore it really happened. Okay, after this long intro, here is the story. In the early 1990s, this little college wasn't the best, not at all. Some girls had to pay their tuition and living by working as dancers, or as you might say, adult entertainment industry. There was a guy who would always forget where to stop, harass the girls, touch where he shouldn't, you know the type. There are too many of these guys. Usually the bouncer would kick him out and everyone but the girls would forget about it. But the girls remembered and hated working when he came in. It could have been all the story, until one day this guy was too drunk and too stupid. He got himself kicked out again, and thought he would get what he wanted anyway. He waited in the parking until the girls would finish their shift, to get to the girl he wanted and jump her. Luckily the bouncer noticed him and told the girls to get out from the back door, and he called the police. Police patrol car came in. The cop said he would talk to the guy, but won't do anything because nothing has happened yet. The girls were upset and started talking about that. They found out the guy was kicked from every club in town, even the cheapest craptiest holes, where he paid the girls with drugs. Which led to another discovery. The guy was a drug dealer on the street, a real lowlife. The girls decided to protect themselves and asked another student to teach them some self-defense moves. This student, call her Susie, was ex-military as far as everybody knew. Not because she talked about it, she didn't. But because some students were working in management building and they found she was on a full scholarship from some government agency, and the government doesn't just go and pay to anybody, so it figured she did something to earn it. Susie was about 25 at the time, but only started first year, while everyone in that year were 18 to 21. She was doing something else for that many years. Anyway, Susie agreed to teach them, and lessons started. In the third lesson, one of the girls came with a black eye and told everyone the lessons helped her, as the guy actually jumped her last night and she managed to escape him. She tried to complain to the police, but had the feeling they wouldn't do anything. That was how Susie heard the whole story and decided to put an end to it too. She started to investigate and found that the guy was indeed a drug dealer. Found his spot. He was fighting his competitors by snitching on them to a police detective, so he had some protection from the police. She then investigated further on the police detective, found out he had a 20-year-old son, and his brother-in-law was also a cop, uniformed squad policeman. That son was famous for getting into troubles. He and his buddies would come to a club, get drunk, harass girls, start fights, get the police called on them, and miraculously get out of it with no charges. Now the revenge. Susie asked 3 girls to take a night off to help her. That night they got dressed out and went to a bar downtown. They drank, but not too much, flirted a lot, made themselves remembered. At 11 PM or so Susie left them in the bar and had a friend drive her to the drug dealer's spot. He was still there, getting ready to pack and go. She went down from the car some distance from him, walked toward his ally, like she is drunk. She entered the ally, ignoring him. He came after her, angry, shouting on her to get out. She acted like she wanted to pee, and he probably thought a pretty woman drunk in his ally, maybe that's his chance. He got too close to her, and from her hip she drew a knife and stabbed him right in the neck. He fell like a sack, and while he bled there, she looked for his stash and found it. Took half his drugs and a gun. She came over him with the gun and shot him twice in the chest and one to the head, pro execution style. Then she left the ally back to the car, taking the bloody knife, the gun and the drugs with her. Wait. That's not the end of the story. A couple of weeks past that, she heard the bully son has entered a club where a few of her friends were working that night. She got there before he got kicked out and went for his car. She broke in and left the drugs on the front seat and the gun on the back seat. The knife was thrown, still with blood stains on, in the trunk. The gun and knife was now fingerprint clean, of course. Sure enough, police was called, and when they got there they knew who he was. It was a family matter now, so they just detained him until his father or uncle would get there. The uncle got there first, in his cruise car, and took him aside to have a talk. They walked to his car, where the cop uncle couldn't have not see the drugs or the gun. Sure enough, he flipped his crap on the guy, slapped him in the parking lot, where everyone can see. The son was still in cuffs. Uncle took the gun and the drugs, wrapped them in evidence bag, and tossed it in his cruiser. The son was released home, to his very angry dad. The uncle got back to his station, to find out he was temporarily relieved from duty. The station got 10 phone calls from people who saw him slap a man in cuffs. Big screw up. Worse than that, the next cop who came into the police car found undocumented evidence in it. Drugs and murder related gun. Guess Hoss fingerprints were on the gun. Uncle was now a murder suspect, and the only way he could be out of it is by telling where the gun really came from. It would still get him fired, but not murder suspect, or so he thought. They found the knife with the blood in the son's car, except it wasn't the son's. It was registered for the father. The detective, the one that the late drug dealer was his snitch, the one that heard he was murdered, and just shrugged and said nah, another dead piece of crap, none cares. So now he was a murder suspect too. Finally we get to the end. This two corrupted cops went away for a long time. The son didn't have police protection anymore. For a while he behaved nice, or didn't get in any troubles, but eventually got back to his old ways. 3 months later he was charged for assault in a bar, and went away for a while too. Susie left after that term, to study somewhere else. Nobody heard from her after that. The girls involved sworn to never talk about it. Obviously they didn't keep it. I met few of them in a reunion, and over to much happy liquids, they happily remembered how one rapist a-hole got what he deserved. Thank you for watching. Slap that like button and comment your opinion on these stories below. I'm waiting. Write that comment. Seriously. Have you written it yet? If you don't comment, you make a bunny cry somewhere. You're not that kind of person. I know. Anyways, peace out, and catch you tomorrow.